welcome back, Mandy with My Hectic Life Pets, where we talk about all things pet and pet related. And today we're talking about the praying mantis, or more specifically, the Indian Flower Mantis. So I went to the NorCal Reptile Expo and I have been wanting a praying mantis for years. And I found her and absolutely fell in love and had to have her. So this species is more commonly found throughout Asia. This is one of the smaller species of praying mantis. They only get to be about 1 inch in size. So the one that I have is actually about full grown. I wanted to get one that was more full grown, one that was a little bit more hardy, one that my daughter could appreciate and enjoy and actually be able to see in its tank more than if I had gotten a juvenile. And I also wanted one that would really stand out and look like a praying mantis, because there are so many different species of praying mantis out there and they all have their unique, beautiful qualities. But this species really shows the true look of the mantis without being one of the giant ones, because there are species of praying mantis that the largest one on record so far has been 8 inches. Now that is a large praying mantis. So for this species of praying mantis, it is really easy to care for them, and they have this really cool little like smiley face on their back. It almost looks like it's painted on, which is kind of cool. They are a really easy, simple pet to care for, especially if you are getting one of the smaller sizes. For the Indian flower, I only needed about a 4x6 container. Of course, you do want a little bit more height than you do width. The easiest way to think of how large of a terrarium you will need for your praying mantis is going to be about twice the size of the praying mantis for the width and length of the container, and then 3 times the height for the container. So this is a 4x6 container, and you can get these at like the craft store for around $5. They're super cheap and really easy. You can find these containers at Michael's or Hobby Lobby for like $5 and then just drill some little holes to give ventilation. I do have several little holes drilled on the top and on the sides. Now you do want to be careful if you do have nymphs or smaller praying mantises that you are feeding fruit flies to, as if you did that you would probably want to put some kind of mesh or something to cover the holes so that the fruit flies won't end up all over your house. So for setting up the terrarium for the Indian flower, these guys do require a little bit higher humidity. So these guys do need about 60 to 70% humidity in their terrarium. So when I set this up, I did put in some false bottom and some crumpled up leaf litter and a lot of sphagnum moss to kind of help keep in moisture, and then she has her little orchid to climb around. So for temperature is pretty easy. This species requires it to be between 70 to 80 degrees, preferably 75 to 80 during the day and around 70 in the evening time. So most of the time they won't require any kind of additional type of heating source. Most species of praying mantis don't require any kind of crazy out there temperatures, and the majority of them do well inside homes without any kind of additional like heat lamps or anything like that, unless you keep your house freezing cold and boiling hot, in which case you may need some kind of additional source. But I just think these guys are absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't mind owning a larger species, but I wanted to get something really beautiful that my daughter could really get a good look at, and I wanted to get a little more unique species for the area that I live in. There are a few species that are just really common, but I wanted to get something a little cooler. So I did name her Princess Mononoke. She is a female. She is a little bit larger because she is a female. The males tend to only get about 3/4 of an inch, while the females get to be a little bit larger, around an inch or so. She is a little bit bigger than an inch, and they are definitely ravenous eaters. So you do want to provide them with plenty of insects. But setting up a habitat for them, I had pretty much everything I already needed because I have excess of everything for all my other terrariums that I keep. So setting up a habitat for her was pretty easy, and I did add some little springtails in there because mold getting in your tank can be deadly for these guys. And now if you have a sterile environment, then you will want to clean out their habitat about once a week, or you can set up a little bioactive habitat for them and not worry about it so much. But I'll tell you what, you will never win a staring contest with a praying mantis. They don't blink and they don't look away. Now for housing these guys, they are extreme predators. So you don't ever want to house them together. It won't end well if you house them together. One of them's gonna end up eating the other. It's just a terrible idea. If you want to try to breed them, keep them separate, and then when breeding time is ready, then you would put them together, and you would want to make sure to feed the female right before mating so that she's kind of busy. Otherwise, she will eat the male. If you don't keep her busy eating while the male is trying to mate with her, then she will probably try to eat him immediately after or even during mating. So the only drawback to these guys is, unfortunately, they don't have a very long lifespan. On average, they typically live anywhere between 9 to 18 months. The longest that I have been able to find was one that lived to be about 20 months. So they don't really have a very lengthy lifespan. So unfortunately, you won't be able to have your pet for very long, but you can definitely enjoy them while they are here. They don't need any kind of extra lighting. So usually just your lighting in your room will give them a good day-night cycle. So when it comes to feeding your praying mantis, they can pretty much live off of fruit flies when they are nymphs and juveniles. When they get a little bit older though, they might want something a little larger, and you can add things like blue or green bottle flies to their diet. You can feed them appropriately sized crickets, but I would be very careful not to overfeed them because crickets can bite. They can be harmful to your praying mantis if they're left unchecked in there with the praying mantis. Dubia roaches are another good feeding source, of course, appropriately sized for the praying mantis. Especially if you are feeding flies or fruit flies to your praying mantis, then you want to make sure that you cover any ventilation holes that you have in your tank, or that you are using some kind of breathable material that you can put over the holes, just to make sure that you don't end up with fruit flies all over your house. Now, praying mantises will molt throughout their life as they are growing. You will notice that they are starting to molt when they start to hang upside down in their tank. And during that time when they are molting, then you probably won't want to put any food in there because they won't want to eat it, and it will either go to waste in the tank or it will make a mess in the tank. So it's best not to feed them while they are molting. Now, females do tend to need more food than the males, as females tend to be a little bit more robust and a little bit larger than the male praying mantis. You will probably be feeding them a little bit more frequently. I am feeding mine about 4 times a week, but depending on what species you have, you might have different feeding requirements, just like you might have different humidity and temperature requirements. So that's all for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!